Hello everybody, I'm the Charbox Gamer. Welcome back to Minecraft. With me is my little brother. I did not upload yesterday because it was Mother's Day, so we're a bit of a day behind. But that's fine. I figured that was a good exception. It also gave me time to go back and actually re-record what I originally had, because originally the recording was kind of mid. I was kind of tired during said recording. I wasn't too into it, so now that I got some rest, I feel more energetic, and I think we're going to have a better recording experience. Now, usually my life experiences are what stories I tell to everybody, but this is a little writing prompt that I wrote myself. I've been trying to work on it, and I have an early concept of said story that I figure that I should share with you, because it is a kid story that I really want to work on. It's more of a concept of a counting book, like teaching kids how to count. And I think, not, it's not halfway done. If anything, it's maybe a couple pages done. It's gonna be, I'm thinking like maybe make it into like a little picture book or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. My artistic skill, I would say, has been very faulty as of lately, as I haven't practiced it. But I feel that with kids' book, you can take some artistic liberties. And I'll be honest, the reason why I'm just a little shy sharing it, because I don't really share my written stories often, and when I do, it's usually with close friends. So sharing with all of you, I hope you like what I wrote. I hope Carlos gets a kick out of it. The story begins. Hi, I'm Dan. I'm just one man. I live in one house big enough for more than one mouse. I eat, I sleep, I work, and repeat. Dan I am, just one man. A knock on the door had Dan shook to his core. Hello? Says Dan the man, taking a stand. He opens the door, and out there one more. A great big ape smiling wide. Hi, my name is Jake. Dan rubs his eyes. This must be fake. Jake the ape continues. See, I come from the zoo. There's nothing to do. People stare and laugh even when I take a bath. I'm done with that place, so I left without a trace. May I stay with you? Dan pauses, not sure what to do. Surely this house is big enough for two. Now it's Dan the man and Jake the ape, standing in a house big enough for them and a mouse. 1 plus 1 is 2. 3 days later, a pounding at the door, so loud and so fast they never heard more. Let us in, a frightened voice cries. The wolf is close, he's right outside. Dan and Jake swing open the door wide and gasp at what they see. 3 little pigs, looking quite uneasy. I'm Bell, says one. I'm Stone, says two. I'm Twig, says three. We ran all night through. That mean old wolf ruined our build. We ran with a fright. We're shaken still. May we stay just a day, maybe two. We'll help build more rooms for all of you. Dan and Jake gave a nod, knowing that their fear was not fake. So now we have Dan the man, Jake the ape, and 3 little pigs, Bellstone and Twigs, all in one house, plus one small mouse. The next day, without a say, 4 birds flew right from the blue. One sang happy, one sang glad, one sang softly, and one sang sad. Dan sighs deep. Hello, little birds who flew. Let me guess, you need a place to stay tonight too. They chirp and they tweet as they take their seats. Poor Dan, he's looking quite beat. He counts on his fingers all his new friends. 1 is me, Dan the man. 2 is Jake, the happy ape. 3, 4, 5, the pigs who arrive. 6, 7, 8, 9, the birds who flew just in time. Oh, poor Dan, what can he do? So many guests, not a moment to rest. And that's about as much as I got so far. It's obviously not completed because it's still not close to 100, but yeah, I kind of came up with that idea one day as I was taking care of the dogs. That's the main inspiration of it because originally I was taking care of 11 dogs, and as the numbers went down, it got easier, but I still have to take care of a lot of animals, which is why I got inspired to make that little story up. I know for a fact that I want the number 11 to be the dogs because that's going to be where the real life inspiration comes from. 11 dogs that we got. That's why I haven't mentioned them just yet, but I need to build up to 11. So currently we're at 4. I need 7 more entries. Or if we're going to be technical, I need 6 entries with the dogs being the 11th entry. I know that the original concept wasn't just a bunch of animals. Originally, the poem started with 10 cats, even though I dealt with dogs, I was thinking more of cats because around the house I do see a lot of cats from the neighbors, and the rhyme started with the cats that eventually evolved into what I just have right now. Now, before we continue on with me rambling about something else, I do want to talk about the characters that I made. And I want to start with Dan, the man. So, Dan the man was obviously kind of inspired by me because I'm taking care of a lot of animals, and every character that pops up is someone new he has to take care of. Plus, I like how it rhymes. Honestly, it's very simple in the naming scheme there. It's like Dan the Man, short, simple, and sweet. Feel like if this was in a kid's book, kids could easily just read it out loud and be like, okay, I can remember this. Now, continuing, because the original concept was going to include dogs, and initially the written part was for 10 cats. Jake the Ape came because I know that I couldn't just start at 10 or 11. I had to start at 1. And I wanted something that just felt a little more absurd. Like as you keep going, there's going to be more absurd characters. And I was like, well, what can I name? What can pop up that be both absurd and yet fun? And hence, Jake the Ape came into creation. Now, originally, his name wasn't going to be Jake the Ape. I think I was going to name him like Jeff or something, but then I went with Jake because I felt like it had more rhyming scheme with ape. Not like it doesn't rhyme entirely, but you could feel like the flow with it, if that makes sense. Now, my plan for this character is you would see an ape and you would probably think, oh, big, scary, muscle creature. I wanted Jake the Ape to be more of a calmer voice, more of a gentler voice, because this is an ape who escaped from being laughed at the zoo. I don't want him to be aggressive. I wanted him to come off as gentle giant. Like, he's just a dude that's just tired of being picked on. Now, I wanted that to be more of like a subtle hint at the character rather than it just being in your face. That's why it's only just a couple of lines. I do want him to be more of Dan the Man's backup. Like, as things get more chaotic, Jake the Ape is always going to be there to help Dan out because, in a sense, he feels thankful for all that he's done for him, giving a place of peace. But that is for future add-ons to the story. Let's go to the Three Little Pigs because that was the inspiration for these characters was based on the Three Little Pigs. Their names, Bell, Stone, and Twigs, was supposed to be a subtle reference to what building materials the Three Little Pigs use. Bell being kind of a nod to Hay Bell, which at some versions of the story say hay, others use straw. I was leaning more to the version that said hay, so it worked. Stone being close to, brick, which honestly, I think brick would have worked. It's just, I felt like if I use, that'd be too on the nose, so that's why I kind of went with stone, it being just slightly different. And also having a different little pig with a different name that started with a different letter would have been a little better. And then twigs, which obviously the building material for sticks. Now, what I typically do when I make stories is I have both a story version and a visual plot that's in my head. And one of the things I did for a visual gag or planned for a visual gag for these characters is that every time somebody new pops in to stay at Dan the Man's place, there's going to be a page where they're making a new room for that person or character. I, I say person by default, but it's more likely just going to be an animal because I feel like it'd be more absurd if it is just an animal character that's talking. Which kind of brings up the last four characters we're introduced to, the four birds, which I'm gonna be honest, I'm a bit concerned with them currently because they feel kind of weak. Unlike the other characters, they aren't exactly given names, they're just given how they sing tones. One happy, one glad, which I guess you could argue is the same, and then you have one soft and one sad. And a part of the reason why I had it like that is because I wanted a rhyming scheme to it. But at the same time, I wasn't really thinking of characters for these birds. I was thinking more of emotional range. Now, it could be for a school setting, like, when you look at kids, you're going to see a bunch of different types of kids. You're going to see kids that are constantly happy. You're going to see ones that are glad to be a part of things or just glad to be around. Then you're going to have the soft spoken kids, and then you're going to have kids that are sad or just like solitary, lonely. I could relate to that because that was how I was as a kid. So that's why I didn't really give them characteristics. I just wanted it to be emotional tones, which I will show more as the story proceeds. It's just for the first start, they just kind of show up. And I wanted to where Dan doesn't just turn them away. He lets them in because he's saying he accepts each different types of emotional ranges. He doesn't exclude others. He just wants to help. Which is why I say that Dan was inspired by me because I do like to help others. It's just sometimes I feel like I don't know how to help others or I'm just not good at helping them with what they need. And that also adds stress because if you don't know how to help somebody, it's like hard to just stay and watch them struggle when you want to help. You just don't know how to approach them or what help they need. I know, okay, so a couple days back, I was at a birthday party for my cousins, and one person there, I don't know how to describe it without, and that's just the thing is I don't know this person too well, but they seem to be a bit introverted, and I wanted to help, but I was told they're not introverted, it's something else, and well, I wasn't given much more detail after that. I mean, after all, we were at the party. They were, very close by. I figured that nobody wanted to say it out loud and make them upset. And I was like, okay, cool. Understood. I'll drop it. I still felt bad. Like, I really want to help because I know how it feels when you're that shy type and you're around people who are... what's the term? It's not introverted. It's extroverted. I had to pause and make sure that was the right term that I was looking for because I don't usually use that term often. But the point is that I know how it feels. Heck, even during this party, I felt a little out of place because even though it's my cousin's party, I didn't know many people there aside from my cousin, and he's having his own thing with his friends. So I felt a little awkward. So I was like, I'll just chill here. If anybody needs me, just let me know so I could, help or socialize. I to my credit, I did try to socialize a bit, and it went well. It's just it didn't stick, and I was kind of left being by myself. Which is why I really did want to help this person out because I was feeling horrible. I felt like they were also feeling horrible, and if two people are feeling horrible at a party, I feel like someone should at least try to help. But one, I was told to kind of back off, give them space. I listened because again, I don't know what it is. I didn't want to make it worse, so I just backed off. I was like, okay, understood. Which I guess sometimes that is the best thing you can do for a person. If you don't know what's going on, it's better that you just give them space rather than try to I guess make things worse, because if I made things worse during a party, that would make me feel bad. Like, that make me feel pretty horrible. So I'm glad that I was at least given the heads up and not made like not made that person uncomfortable. So for Mother's Day, the thing is that I had a plan for Mother's Day. It's just that sadly, my plan sunk badly, very badly. So I woke up pretty early for Mother's Day. That's something I don't typically do, but it was for my mom. I did it because she deserves it. My initial plan was I was going to make her breakfast in bed. It was going to be a nice pancake breakfast with a side of scrambled eggs, because we have a lot of, we have a lot of eggs. The thing is that when I was making her pancakes, the pancakes just did not come out well. You see, the pancake mix was simple and easy. You just put this mix in a bowl, put some water in it, mix it up real good, and then put it on like a pan, and then you just flip it. And I wasn't gonna do simple. It was Mother's Day. I wanted to be extra for my mom because she deserves extra. So instead of just plain old water that I put in the mix, I added milk to the bit too. Which, it's fine, honestly. The thing that I didn't figure out is that the milk went bad, and I already had several pancakes made. So I had to toss them out. Granted, they weren't looking too good to begin with because they just would not properly be made, and I think it was because the milk was expired that kind of did that. So, yeah, and it kind of sucked too, because these weren't just going to be normal pancakes. No, these were going to be cinnamon added pancakes, because I added cinnamon to the baking mix. So, yeah, I spent an hour over a hot stove only to figure out that, oh, the thing I made was not good. And it was also getting close to the time that I had to go outside and take care of the dog, so I quickly just made a bunch of scrambled eggs. And, again, I wanted to be a little extra. We had some cheese left over, so I made it, with cheese as well, because I figured that's at least something. That's at least something nice. It's not just plain scrambled eggs. It's just got a little bit of cheese to make it more flavorful. But before I was able to give her breakfast, I walked in, saw that she was still sleeping, knew that she had to go to work soon, and thought that it's best that I just let her sleep, and before she leaves for work, I go and give her breakfast. Because I figured that I had enough time to deal with the dogs, and then present her with breakfast. I was sadly wrong, because the dogs that day were being a little extra, and not in the good way. They were just being a little much. One of them tried to escape, another dug a hole to escape, and the third one figured out how to climb we gave him a shelter that leans against the house to protect him from rain. She kind of learned how to climb it. And I was hoping that she just not jump over the fence, because she could clearly jump over the fence from that structure. And it's like, please, can you stop? I'm tired of the holes that you guys make. I'm tired of everything that you do. I give you food, shelter, and love. You could at least give me something back by not trying to leave. The good news is that on the occasions that they do escape, which has been 3 times so far, they do come back instantly. The second that they see ya, they come running back, and I don't know if it's because they're simply bored in the fenced area, or maybe if they just like the thrill of the chase, and then once they see that I'm there, they're like, oh, we got caught, let's go back. Something like that. I don't know if that's the case. And I see that that wooden piece has been misplaced. I hate it. I'm gonna have to change it. But first, I'm gonna get a good stack of cobblestone. You see that? Out like a sore thumb. I hate it. Give me a sec. There we go. Beautiful. Are you kidding me? There. Beautiful. That's coming out nice so far. Just gotta keep adding to it, I guess. Move, pig. You. You deserved it. You deserved it. You had it coming. You can't prove to me otherwise. I gotcha. Here. Got ya. This much. That's probably not enough. Because I gave you just like a bit. I meant to give you more. Let's see. There. It occurred to me that you're probably trying to fix that location right there, so. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying. So, the dogs were being a little extra. I was just finishing up with dealing with them. Like, I just got them fed, I got them watered, I cleaned up their little area because I figured that that's probably the issue too. They probably don't like how it gets dirty, and I do try to keep it clean, with a cleaning day being every like couple days apart, just so that it's just one dog tends to have this little tendency to, well, whenever I feed him, she grabs the bowl and she basically just puts food everywhere on the ground. Now, they typically would eat this food and there's nothing wrong with it, so I don't try to sweep it up. But once things start getting a little much, I gotta sweep it up because it's just getting in the way. Or on the other hand of it, it's just not good looking at. Like, it's just not edible to them anymore and they just left it out. And it's like, why do you dogs? Well, I guess dog being the singular because it's just one dog that does this. Why do you pull out the food when it's perfectly in a bowl for you to eat? And I think it's because this dog is a little possessive of food, because I notice that when she does this, she hogs the bowl personally and then goes for another one. She eats the scraps that are still in that one bowl, which again, I have to ask, you do realize that if you just leave it alone, you could have more food, right? And it's like, yeah, I feel like you do this on purpose just to bug me, just slightly, just to bug me. But I digress. I still feed you, even if you make a mess of it. I still, like, yeah, after a couple days when it's sitting in the sun and it's not being eaten by any of the dogs, I do have to clean it up because then it's going to attract ants, and I really don't want to deal with ants bothering the dogs. But anyway, I was done dealing with the dogs. I was leaving, and then I saw Mom also leaving for work, and I was like, I didn't get her breakfast. I have to go and stop the car. So I'm running behind the car, waving. I'm like, wait, wait. And she rolls down the window, and she's like, yes? And I'm like, did you get breakfast? And she's like, I had breakfast ready? Yeah. Which told me the answer, no, she didn't. So she didn't get breakfast, and I was bummed out because there went my Mother's Day plan for her. I mean, I guess she liked the thought that counted. She was happy about the idea. I just wish she got to have the experience of having breakfast in bed. But I guess that's just how the cookies crumble, you know? Oh, hey, Carlos, this actually looks pretty good. We just need the top to be the eyes. After that, I was just kind of checked out for the day. Like, I was just having one of those mornings where it just did not feel like a good morning. Like, Later that day, I was also put in the charge of cooking, and yeah, I accidentally burnt dinner. But at least for the potato, I accidentally burnt the potatoes. The zucchini slices that I made were actually pretty good, though, but the potatoes were slightly burnt, and I kind of hated that because I tried following directions. Directions a bit unclear, and now we're here with slightly burnt. Yeah, it wasn't mashed potatoes, so I couldn't just like scrape it all together and like bundle it up. What are you doing in our house, Frank? Get out of the house, Frank. You don't pay rent, Frank. You have to be kicked out. And I hear another Frank the Spider. Which is, actually, Frank the Spider is a joke name I have for all the spiders that enter my room if I haven't shared the story. Because every now and then I will get a daddy long legs at one corner of my room and I will name it Frank the Spider because the name itself just sounds too normal for a spider to have. And I'm thinking of making Frank the Spider a character in my book, so yeah. I just gotta figure out how to make it work. Frank plus 8. And I have a full argument that just because he has 8 limbs, or 8 legs, doesn't mean that they count as 8 different people. I think that's like my very basic, hi, Frank. That's gonna be the basic premise for that part of the story, with Dan the man trying to explain to him that just because you have 8 legs doesn't mean that you are, you know, plus 8. What do you mean by an army? I don't like that without context. What do you mean an army? Oh. Okay, I should have seen this coming. It's a chickadee army. It's a tiny chick army. If this was Legend of Zelda and one mob... I hit my mic. If one mob hit any of the chickens, if this were Legend of Zelda, then they would all become a devastating force. That you wouldn't know that, Carlos. That's an old video game. Granted, it's... But you probably know it from Breath of the Wild, or what was the new one that came out? Tears of the Kingdom, I think. You probably know it from that, but in the original Legend of Zelda, if you hit one of the chicken enemies, which well, actually, they're not enemies, they're cockatroos, I think? Give me a sec, I have to look it up. No, that's not the name. I'm sorry, I mixed in Final Fantasy birds with this name. It's cuckoos. Or, cuckoos. Yeah, gotta give... Okay, full disclosure, I never played Legend of Zelda, but I know very much well that if you were to attack one of these birds, the retaliation is devastating. So, yeah, even I guess I wouldn't even be called a basic fan because I never played the game, but point is, even someone that's not familiar with the game knows them, and if you attack them while they just mess up your life. Cucatros, I can't believe I said that. That's just me mixing up with like chocobos. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. Like with Final Fantasy, the names are either hit or miss with me sometimes. In fact, I don't even think I pronounced it right that time. I think it's, well, Chocobo? Chocobo? This kind of reminds me of how I pronounce a video game that I played for a bit because I didn't know what it was called. I played it when I was young and I didn't know what it was called. I called it Suikoden, But with the naming premise, it wasn't pronounced Suikoden, it's pronounced Suikoden. But personally, I never liked the term Suikoden. I always liked how it sounded with Suikoden. Because to me, that sounded more like a video game name, personally. I don't know if this is going to keep them. And that happened twice. Yeah, you know, Carlos, it's gonna suck if lightning strikes in the middle of all these chickadees here. I'm sorry, I was thinking about it because what are the chances that lightning strikes and hits them? Uh, Knock on wood, right? I don't think they could bounce over it, but I'm just making a big wall just in case because I don't want to risk it. Nice and easy. I hate that I misclicked twice. We are getting close to the end of the video too, so thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed my story. It's not completed yet, but I want to share what I had. So with that being said, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care, please like and subscribe, and have a great day.